Welcome to the Ultimate Chess Course. I hope you enjoyed the first full game that we analysed together last time. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about material. What does it mean when we say that one piece is worth more than the next piece? Well, let's say, take for example the queen. If we say the queen is worth 9 and the rook is worth 5, what we're really saying is that in the majority of positions, the queen, we'd prefer to have a queen than we would prefer to have a rook. And this is fairly clear. They move in the same way, but the queen is clearly more powerful. But there are some situations where we would prefer to have a rook. The gap between the queen and the minor pieces is even greater. There's even more positions where we would prefer to have the queen than a minor piece. And you can see the comparisons there. So the rook against a minor piece, we would prefer to have the rook in the majority of cases, but there are some positions when we would prefer to have a minor piece. So this is really what we're saying when we're talking about the relative value of the pieces, that we would prefer to have the pieces that we rate more highly the majority of the time, in more cases than we would prefer to have the other piece. That's what we're really saying. Now, I've got a book here, Bishop versus Knight, the verdict. Bishops and knights, that's the most common material imbalance in chess. We generally value them equally, so we're fairly happy to exchange bishops for knights, depending on the position. Now, you'll notice in Grandmaster games that they very rarely give up bishops for no reason whatsoever. They would expect something in return for it, some sort of compensation, if you like, such as a fractured pawn structure, or to avoid losing time, or to gain time. They wouldn't just give up their bishops for a knight for no reason. And the conclusion, the brave conclusion in this book, Bishop versus Knight, which actually gives at the beginning, is there are a wider variety of positions where we would prefer to have bishops than knights. Now, I agree with this opinion, and I think that's why strong players don't give up their bishops without getting something in return. I think ultimately, if we consider the way what we really mean when we assign values to the pieces, if we're saying that we would prefer to have bishops in a wider variety of positions than we would prefer to have knights, then the bishops are worth more. It may be much smaller. The gap between bishop and knight is obviously much smaller than between queen and bishop, for example, but it is there. What this means practically for you is that, just like the strong players, you shouldn't give up your bishops for no good reason. You must get something in return. Okay, think about this. I'd like you to have a look at your games, the piles that we made at the beginning in getting started. Just have a look and see if there's a trend. Do you perhaps you can see when you're more comfortable, which piece you're more comfortable with. It's true that I think at the beginning, when we're not so strong, and we're not familiar with this idea that bishops are slightly stronger than knights overall, knights are easier to handle, and I think this is one of the issues. I think a good knight against a bad bishop, it's easier to take advantage of that than it is to take advantage of a bishop against a knight in an open position. But this is a skill that we'll have to develop, and it's certainly a skill that strong players have. Okay, have a look at your own games. See if you are comfortable with these pieces. See if it's something that we need to develop. We'll talk more about it later on. This is Roy Phillips. Thank you.